Hello everyone, this is In-Game Art with another unboxing, another offline gaming experience. This is Child of Light Ultimate Edition plus Valiant Hearts for the Great War, all on one cartridge. Now Child of Light Ultimate Edition is the complete version of the game. It has all currently released DLC on the cartridge, and at the beginning of the video you can see every single DLC that they say that's on the cartridge. Now Valiant Hearts did not have any DLC, but it did have like a comic kind of strip kind of thing you could read about the dog in the game, as well as it got like the artwork that went into making the game, all on the cartridge as well. Now both games has the update version 1.0.0 on the cartridge, and sadly though both of them did have an update available. Now please keep in mind, even though the update version says the vanilla 1.0.0, they probably do have most updates already on the cartridge, because then with DLC and time, they probably just reset the number back to 1.0. Sometimes publishers do that when they release a physical game. So it's cool to have all these complete games all on one cartridge, as well as having all their extra little content on the cartridge as well. Now, experience-wise, Child of Light was my first time playing both Valiant Hearts and Child of Light. Child of Light is kind of your typical turn-based mechanical game with a side-scrolling environment exploration. It's a bit of an open world. You got to do a map, and you can get expanded upon. You get more characters into your roster. It does have a Oculin or gems you can create and combine to put to your weapons, armor, or your accessory, and they give you special benefits. There are items screwed about, like health potions, MP potions, and just the combat of the game, as I said, is a typical turn-based, but it does have a little bit of a twist to it, where you get to see the gauge of who's going to play first, and before you can attack, you have to build up your attack. And the computer, the enemy, has this as well. So sometimes you can actually attack that person who's about to build up your attack, and you can interrupt their attack. It's kind of a neat little mechanic, though sometimes it can be frustrating because you can find yourself bouncing between getting interrupted and interrupting them, and it makes me kind of feel bad sometimes about a computer, because sometimes there's only one of their characters on the screen and I'm just constantly interrupting them, or they'll have multiple enemies on the screen and they'll just keep interrupting me. It becomes a little frustrating at times. Even though the game tells you to defend to prevent interruption, it doesn't really. Defending allows you to defend and reduce the damage, but when you go back up there and get ready to attack, you can still be interrupted. I kind of question that design. Overall, Child of Light had a decently good story and experience. Not the most amazing in terms of my book compared to what other people said, but the soundtrack is really good, and I do like how the characters interact between each other, and I really do love the roster of characters within the game. I did complete 1 and 2, but Child of Light and Valiant Hearts. I didn't really experience any problems within Child of Light. I didn't experience any game breaking bugs or anything like that without that update. But I did experience massive frame rate drops, a considerable amount of frame rate drops. It didn't leave the game unplayable, but it did become frustrating at moments when there's absolutely nothing going on really on the screen, and just the frame rate would just plummet. As well as, and even in combat, when you do an attack that hits every single enemy, the frame rate drop will just be significant. It's just a little disappointing, because a game like Child of Light, graphically and just how much it's using of resources, it really shouldn't have frame rate drops like that. It just goes to show, it doesn't matter how powerful, how pretty, or whatever is going on with your game. Sometimes it's just about how the game is optimized for the hardware. Now, overall, I did have a good time with Child of Light. We're going to move on to Valiant Hearts. Valiant Hearts, I have to personally say I did enjoy more than Child of Light, but Valiant Hearts is more of a puzzle, more of a documentary experience, more than really like a game. It gives you a roster of characters, and it's all about taking place in the First World War I, and all the events that happens in a steady flow about when the war kind of started in Germany and France, getting into the battle. You play a roster of characters: an American, a Frenchman, a German guy, and his about his wife and everything, and then you got another Belgian girl who is a nurse. It's mostly like a collage of characters that give you a feel and understanding of what everything happened in World War I. And they tried to paint it in the innocent and as pretty as they could be, because they can't really show you all they could, but the artistic design of this game is a little bit more softer and trying to give you an idea of how gruesome World War One was, but also including a little gameplay mechanics of puzzle solving and environmental and just a little bit storytelling. It's actually very well done, and I'd be a liar to say near the end and certain events in the game did give me a little bit of a teary expression and everything. It was a very powerful game. But other than that, Violent Hearts, I didn't experience any massive game breaking bugs, but I did experience one issue where I did put an item down and I traded it for another item, and I came back and that item was gone and I needed that item, and so I had to restart the entire level. So it didn't really break my experience, but that was disappointing that the game had that little bug issue where I put an item down and it disappeared. So just keep that in mind when you play. I didn't experience any massive frame rate drops like Child of Light, but I did have one moment where you're doing this fisticuffs with the German general, and the frame rate drop just plummeted for that fight. It was very odd. But overall, story and direction and concept was just jaw-dropping. I mean, the music was really good, the puzzles were challenging but yet still fun. I do love they have a hint system, so if you're struggling with trying to figure out what to do, and then eventually the game will give you not straight up the answer, but steadily give you hints and then just give you the answer. Very well done. I really love that. That prevented me having to go online. I only needed the hint system once, but that was just because I was overthinking things. But overall, I did have a good time. I do recommend Valiant Hearts. It's definitely one heck of experience. But keep in mind, if you're somebody who's very emotional, it can be very devastating what goes on in this game. Even though its appearance of how cartoony and cutesy it looks, it gets dark pretty fast and pretty quick and pretty gruesome. But overall, these are both great games on one cartridge. I was sitting here thinking about it. I can't even remember the last time I really sat down and played an Ubisoft game, and these two games were phenomenal. I've truly enjoyed both of them. I have to say, personally, Valiant Hearts was my favorite out of the two, but Child of Light, I did love the old mechanics of turn-based. I did like the music and the story interactions and so forth. I just didn't care too much for the genericness sometimes of the gameplay. It just didn't feel involved enough, as well as story didn't hit his home for me as much as like Valiant Hearts did. But overall, I do recommend both of these games. I recommend this collection if you can get into your shelf. I do know that this is a PAL version, but on Best Buy you can get the American version, which, I mean, both of them are identical, but I just decided to get the PAL version because it didn't really matter. But overall, I recommend these. So, like always, I'll try to leave links in the description for both this PAL version, and I'll just leave one for the Best Buy version as well. Like I said, they're both identical. It's just a shame that this is also not available on the PS4. That's fine. I do love playing it on the Switch. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next unboxing video. Bye-bye!